Welcome to the Walt Whitman Show. Thank you all very much for coming. I hope that the reception is good enough. And I'll just close the door. Oh, good. Well, you're in my kitchen in Ireland, and I welcome you all. My name is Paul O'Mani, and I live here in Ireland. I live in a place called Cork, and I run the Walt Whitman Show every single day, and this particular show is dedicated to somebody living in Australia, and his name is Jackson, and he provides a poetry show. His title is Poetry Show, and I want to dedicate this entire show to Jackson. This is the poet, Walt Whitman. This is it. Yes, there's Poetry Show, feeling very loved today. Well, for him it's about, where are we now? It's about, it must be about 9 o'clock in the morning. Something like that, over there in Australia. So as far as the Americas are concerned, he's already started Thanksgiving Day. This is Walt Whitman, right? Ancient man, just before he died. He died in 1892, and he was born originally, well, he was born on Long Island, and in 1819, and he lived through a great period in American history, and he celebrated America in this book, collection of poetry, and you know, he kept the same title on his collection of poetry throughout his lifetime. In other words, there is only one title for Walt Whitman's poetry, called Leaves of Grass, but the volumes or the editions of Leaves of Grass got bigger as time went on. So the way the Walt Whitman Show is organized is that we have a gathering like this. People say hello to each other. Some people share the show on Twitter and share it on other ways. And we, after a few minutes of settling down, I read you some poetry. Yes, the first edition was recently sold for a nice amount of money. I saw that. Nice amount of money, as you would expect. A unique, to have an 1855 first edition Leaves of Grass would be a treasure. So here we go. Here we go. I'm going to read to you from a poem which is called A Song of the Rolling Earth. And let me get the camera in place. Are there any of you on the watching now, on the live, on the app, if you like, who are new and who have never ever been to the Walt Whitman Show before? I think it would be lovely to know if you were new, and it would be very nice to be able to greet you properly. Well oiled beef hooked, you're new here, your very first time. Man with a van. Oh, what about that? What about the new film called The Woman in the Van? You're very welcome, and I think it's you're new and you're from Wyoming. Well, now imagine that. Imagine that. And you saw the scopes. This is the first time. Look, you're all very welcome. So I'm going to don't for 1 second believe that Jenny is from Wyoming. We still have a situation where there hasn't been a human being on the Walt Whitman show live from Wyoming. And I would just like to give thanks for all the people who will be giving thanks tomorrow. You're not a bit late, patterns on walls. Straight in from no, Jenny, who's Baz Bleu 02, is not at all a new person. Belfast, greeting from Belfast, wonderful. Low Fat Lurpak, hello. That's where Eamon Malley does a poetry show from, in Belfast. So, reading from the deathbed edition of Walt Whitman. This is the book, the final edition, and the project is to read the whole of Walt Whitman's poetry, all of it, live on Periscope. No one's ever done that before, pretty obviously. I'm like a Mr. Doubtfire show. Lovely, lovely. Well, here we go. Part 2 of A Song of the Rolling Earth. See what you think. If you're new to Walt Whitman, see what you think of this. Whoever you are, motion and reflection are especially for you. The divine ship sails the divine sea for you. Whoever you are he or she for whom the earth is solid and liquid. You are he or she for whom the sun and moon hang in the sky. For none more than you are the present and the past. For none more than you is immortality. Each man to himself and each woman to herself is the word of the past and present and the true word of immortality. No one can acquire for another, not one. No one can grow for another, not one. The song is to the singer and comes back most to him. The teaching is to the teacher and comes back most to him. The murder is to the murderer and comes back most to him. The theft is to the thief and comes back most to him. The love is to the lover and comes back most to him. The gift is to the gift giver and comes back most to him. It cannot fail. The oration is to the orator. The acting is to the actor and actress, not to the audience. And no man understands any greatness or goodness but his own, or the indication of his own. End of part 2. And no man understands any greatness or goodness but his own, or the indication of his own. I'll go on. I'm going to read part 3. We can come back to chatting about part 2 a little later. Let me move on. Part 3. I swear the earth shall surely be complete to him or her who shall be complete. The earth remains jagged and broken only to him or her who remains jagged and broken. I swear there is no greatness or power that does not emulate those of the earth. There can be no theory of any account unless it corroborate the theory of the earth. No politics, song, religion, behavior, or whatnot is of account unless it compare with the amplitude of the earth, unless it faces the exactness, vitality, impartiality, rectitude of the earth. I swear I begin to see love with sweeter spasms than that which responds love. It is that which contains itself, which never invites and never refuses. I swear I begin to see little or nothing in audible words. All merges towards the presentation of the unspoken meanings of the earth, towards him who sings the songs of the body and of the truths of the earth, towards him who makes the dictionaries of words that print cannot touch. I swear I see what is better than to tell the best. It is always to leave the best untold. When I undertake to tell the best, I find I cannot. My tongue is ineffectual on its pivots. My breath will not be obedient to its organs. I become a dumb man. The best of the earth cannot be told anyhow. All or any is best. It is not what you anticipated. It is cheaper, easier, nearer. Things are not dismissed from the places they held before. The earth is just as positive and direct as it was before. Facts, religions, improvements, politics, trades are as real as before. But the soul is also real. It too is positive and direct. No reasoning, no proof has established it. Undeniable growth has established it. Part 4, the final part of A Song of the Rolling Earth. These to echo the tones of souls and the phrases of souls. If they did not echo the phrases of souls, what were they then? If they had not reference to you in especial, what were they then? I swear I will never henceforth have to do with the faith that tells the best. I will have to do only with that faith that leaves the best untold. Say on, sayers, sing on, singers, delve, mould, pile the words of the earth, work on, age after age. Nothing is to be lost. It may have to wait long, but it will certainly come in use. When the materials are all prepared and ready, the architects shall appear. I swear to you the architects shall appear without fail. I swear to you that they will understand you and justify you. The greatest among them shall be he who best knows you and encloses all and is faithful to all. He and the rest shall not forget you. They shall perceive that you are not an iota less than they. You shall be fully glorified in them. The end. You shall be fully glorified in them. This is a good set of verses. If read unattributed, I would know it was Uncle Walt. Yes, you would. You definitely would. The thing, it's a bit like listening, to a piece of music by Mozart. It would be hard to mix it up with anybody except Haydn. But truly, it is characteristic. You like this new chapter. Lars likes this new chapter. You're very welcome, Black Rabbit. You're very welcome. Yes, it's... Well, what's to say? What's to say? I think it is definitely, not only is it Walt Whitman, but it deserves a second reading. It deserves a second reading. It is not that easy. You don't mix Mozart with Haydn, okay. All right. All right. The connection between I think of it as really making a very strong statement for we are rooted in the earth. We are rooted in something very solid. Words, thoughts, ideas, they're not highfalutin things. They are rooted. They grow out of something that has real substance. And there's that connection between them. So if the earth is, well, I don't know. That's the way I'm thinking about it. And it's not the only way to think about it. But I'm going to read it to you again. Earthworms. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good, I like that, David. I like that one, yes. You weren't so happy about the chapter he was paid to do. This is like getting him back. Right. Now we'll just wait till Queen baby-faced followers arrive. And, we'll wait a minute or two, because I'm sure that when you arrive, it must be a very strange experience to suddenly arrive in the middle of Walt Whitman, talking to you like he does. It almost certainly doesn't seem... Yeah, now there's a good way of summarizing him. He calms, he praises, then he teaches. That's a great way of making a presentation to an audience. Calm them. Praise them, teach them. There's a lot of wisdom behind that. Okay, I'm going to read. You like strangers being surprised. Okay, we'll go for it again, right? Whoever you are, motion and reflection are especially for you. The divine ship sails the divine sea for you. Whoever you are he or she for whom the earth is solid and liquid. You are he or she for whom the sun and moon hang in the sky. For none more than you are the present and the past. For none more than you is immortality. Each man to himself and each woman to herself is the word of the past and the present, and the true word of immortality. No one can acquire for another, not one. No one can grow for another, not one. The song is to the singer and comes back most to him. The teaching is to the teacher and comes back most to him. The murder is to the murderer and comes back most to him. The theft is to the thief and comes back most to him. The love is to the lover and comes back most to him. It cannot fail. The oration is to the orator. The acting is to the actor and actress, not to the audience. And no man understands any greatness or goodness but his own, or the indication of his own. End of part 2. Part 3. Bye-bye, Susan. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for coming. Angels all over your pillow, today and tomorrow. I swear the earth shall be complete to him or her who shall be complete. The earth remains jagged and broken only to him or her who remains jagged and broken. I swear there is no greatness or power that does not emulate those of the earth. There can be no theory of any account unless it corroborate the theory of the earth. No politics, song, religion, behavior and whatnot is of account unless it compare with the amplitude of the earth, unless it faces the exactness, vitality, impartiality, rectitude of the earth. I swear I begin to see love with sweeter spasms than that which responds love. It is that which contains itself, which never invites and never refuses. I swear I begin to see little or nothing in audible words. All merges towards the presentation of the unspoken meanings of the earth, towards him who sings the songs of the body and of the truths of the earth, towards him who makes the dictionaries of words that print cannot touch. I swear I see what is better than to tell the best. It is always to leave the best untold. When I undertake to see the best, I find I cannot. My tongue is ineffectual on its pivots. My breath will not be obedient to its organs. I become a dumb man. The best of the earth cannot be told anyhow. All or any is best. It is not what you anticipated. It is cheaper, easier, nearer. Things are not dismissed from the places they held before. The earth is just as positive and direct as it was before. Facts, religions, improvements, politics, trades are as real as before. But the soul is also real. It too is positive and direct. No reasoning, no proof has established it. Undeniable growth has established it. End of part 3. Part 4, the final part of A Song of the Rolling Earth. These to echo the tones of souls and the phrases of souls. If they did not echo the phrases of souls, what were they then? If they had not reference to you in a special, what were they then? I swear I shall never henceforth have to do with the faith that tells the best. I will have to do only with that faith which leaves the best untold. Say on, sayers, sing on, singers, delve, mould, pile the words of the earth, work on, age after age. Nothing is to be lost. It may have to wait long, but it will certainly come in use. When the materials are all prepared and ready, the architects shall appear. I swear to you the architects shall appear without fail. I swear to you they will understand you and justify you. The greatest among them shall be he who best knows you and encloses all and is faithful to all. He and the rest shall not forget you. They shall perceive that you are not an iota less than they. You shall be fully glorified in them. You shall be fully glorified in them. Thus ends Walt Whitman's poem, first published 1856, I think. It feels almost religious. It does. It definitely does feel very religious. I think I also find it very interesting that I was brought up in a society where it was quite normal to say that is a mystery. We can't understand it. It's a mystery. It's something you just have to have faith in. So there were a lot of things untold, unexplained. So when Whitman says that if you make something completely and utterly explicit, you take something away from it, it reminds me of that. Hello from the United States. He grounds the mystery in the earth. He does. He does. He says the earth is the ultimate mystery, I think. I mean, towards him who sings the songs of the body and of the truths of the earth, towards him who makes the dictionaries of words that print cannot touch. Print cannot touch it. And then you have that wonderful phrase, the unspoken meanings of the earth. The unspoken meanings of the earth. Isn't that a phrase to conjure with? For Richmond in Virginia, in the United States of America, hello. Welcome, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Quanali, thank you for coming. Thank you to those of you who have come in while I've been reading. Thank you to those of you who said things that I wasn't able to answer or respond to. Thank you all for being present. I want to give thanks to you all. I know it's a bit early to give you thanks. I know that it isn't a Thanksgiving Day for a little bit more. But Walt Whitman has asked me to pass on his thanks to you. Walt specially came to me last night in a dream, and he said to me, when you have those people on the show tonight, I want you to thank them. I always wanted there to be people reading me in 150 years, and just thank them from me. So I thank you on behalf of Walt and the lovers of Walt. It's been a real dream ticket. It is a dream ticket, reading Walt Whitman to you. There are people who are listening to this, watching this. Some people are listening to it and don't see a thing, they just listen to it. Others are on the internet. Hi Jazzy, hello. You wouldn't have heard of him. Yeah, he wouldn't be the first. Do I know Niall Horan? Not Niall and I, of course I know Niall Horan. Of course I know him. You've never read any Walt Whitman. You love reading Shakespeare. I wouldn't blame you for loving to read Shakespeare. I really wouldn't. It is, you're so right, it is, Zora, it is a friendly place. People here are friendly. Now you have to read some Walt Whitman. That's joy to my heart, you know. In fact, I don't really mind who you read, so long as you find it meaningful, so long as you can find some way of bending the poet's words to your project, whatever your project is. I think the poets give stories, give ideas, express feelings. They give gifts out there for us to take, twist, bend, meld, shape, mold, all that. Your joy in pause, yes. Walt is new to you, but you absolutely love poetry. Yeah, it must be wonderful. Well, I tell you what, it's a bit of I know. What's it like to meet Walt Whitman's poetry for the first time? What is it like? Can magicians, poets are magicians. I think the listeners and the readers are the magicians. But what happens is that the poet provides stuff which encourages the magician and the wizard in you to work with it. You wish you could go back. And you love Walt Whitman's interpretation of love and life. And but give yourself credit, because the sense you make of Walt Whitman isn't the same as the sense that another person makes. You are actually, really involved in making something out of Walt Whitman's verse. His rhythms, it hit you like a ton of bricks, yeah. Or even of what we thought in past years, yeah. It's, but the key thing is to let it have an effect on you. I like the part about only seeing goodness that match what's already in us, yes. Thank you for not telling us what to think. You see, as Joy says, we're almost co-collaborators. Almost co-collaborators. Well, we are, we're present for each other while we're each making something meaningful from what we're hearing. And for each of us, the words come into a different context. Each of us have different life experiences. So the poetry is the same, but it comes through veils and veils of experience. and it bounces off different things, doesn't it? I mean, there's words in here that bounce off you and they don't bounce off me so much, and they bounce off somebody else in a different way. And it's really, classrooms of childhood, But there's such a priority put on understanding what did the poet mean. You remember one night here, 19 people and 19 opinions, Yeah. You're getting older, Jenny. You're getting older. You're like a good wine. You're, yeah, 90, yes. You remember your grandparents discussing Walt Whitman before you ever read Walt Whitman. Wow. Wow. To have grandparents who discussed and also discussed Yeats. Wow. I mean, sometimes, you're so old now that I fart dust. Hang on, I'm writing that down. I am writing that down. So old now I fart dust. So old now I fart dust. That is a super line. Gaw. What a... What a line. You loved to listen to the adults when you were little. Right. Right. My father didn't talk very much. He played a lot of Chopin on the on a radiogram, and he listened to John McCormack singing the song and listened to Percy French. And he played a lot of chess. Nana loved Emily Dickinson. Well, Emily Dickinson, fantastic. She inspired me a lot. Emily Dickinson inspired me by one thing in particular. Well, two things. The terseness and the extent to which she never ever used superfluous words, or, she's such a tight craft economy, But she also inspired me because of the volume of poetry that she wrote. If I remember rightly, I know this part to be true, they found packages of Emily Dickinson poetry in her loft after she died, wrapped up, tied neatly in bundles. And it was something like this. In 1858, there were 220 poems. In 1859, there were 240. In 1860, there were 290. 1861 to 300. So she had about 6 or 7 years during which she wrote, at the very least 250 poems. And, considering, well, I guess you do learn how to write in an economical way. You do learn it. I'm nobody. Are you nobody too? There were so many editions of Walt Whitman, David, because in the first place, he published the first edition in 1855, the second edition in 1856, and they were both He he added poetry to them. Oh, thank you, nice name. Thank you very much. Thank you. He kept adding poems. It's not really new editions of the same book. It's a bit like, collected poems being added to, and they gradually get bigger and bigger. So, and he then rearranged the deck chair, the chairs on the deck, put some poems in different places. Yeah, it was organic, yeah. And some of the poems got moved around in response to the way he was being treated, the difficulties he had. So it wasn't just he was sitting in a vacuum deciding where to put things. He really wanted to get his message across, but it's it grew from a small book to a big book, really. And then, of course, it's well to remember that Whitman wasn't, in a sense, only a poet. He also wrote a major kind of philosophical book outlining his overall philosophy, and I think that was published in 1871. So he was very prolific, This is a guy who wrote a lot. He had detractors because he was incomparable, monumentally. Andrew, I also think, that it's much... he was shocking, Poets didn't write like that before Whitman. And in that sense, you kind of have... And it was his ideas to a certain extent, and there were other people with radical ideas around at the time, but it's the form of the poetry as well. It's the, you think about, it's the length of the lines, it's the way the words are presented on the page, it's the repetition, the structure. So he was a poet full of ideas, but with a huge project, huge project. He did want to, lay down a foundation for American literature. What do I think about the Russian Firejet? Well, I tell you, I feel that it's a very dangerous situation, and I don't think it's... he did. He began... You're so right. He did, as you know, Mark. They began to like him a lot in the UK. And that was where he got his first big fans from. So, we're talking about somebody who didn't have an easy path to success. He was a businessman. He made a cheap, small book and then added on to it. Yeah, it's like producing an e-book and then it grows and grows. I was just writing that. He's part of a movement of great change. Yes. His true stature only grew here in the 20th century. Well, he was very big, though, in the 1880s in America. I mean, lots among poets, he was certainly. Yes, he was ignored for a long time. But, I think Tennyson, Longfellow, besides Oscar Wilde, came to visit him. I can't remember exactly who were the people who went to visit him. But But if you give him a chance, I think if you give Whitman a chance in the right kind of circumstance, you know, he will open people up, not just to his own ideas, but to the whole idea of expressing your view. You see, I think that some poetry is very complex. It reads, you know, it isn't the easiest thing to imagine yourself writing, but it is possible to imagine yourself writing like Whitman. You could write poetry like Whitman in the sense that you could pour your heart and soul into expressing your project. You could do it more easily than if you were to take Milton and Pope and Dryden and Shelley and Keats and Donne and all of these people. If you were to try to write like them, it isn't easy. Demands, and I'm not saying Whitman it's easy, but you know, the barrier between you and what you're going to express, there's a huge, that's it, openness, right? There's a door waiting to be pushed through to the other side. You could pick up a pen and start relating. You could start grasping at the world, you know, through your writing. There were others breaking the mold, though. Okay. I have to say I'd love to know more about who were breaking the mold as well. Who were they? It's just that I don't know enough about American literature. You know, I'm a bit of a dilettante. I really just went for, no, Karen, this idea that you have to be creative, you have to do the work, you have to write. Well, no, I'll tell you, in my view, one of the worst ideas is to try to be creative. Trying to be creative stopped most people from writing. That's what many of us do journaling in private. He journaled outwardly. He did. You know, and just take something very simple. Go into the marketplace, the public market in the place where you live, and do a list of all of the different types of occupations that are in the marketplace. You can compile a list in a way that is your attempt to hold on to the place that you live in. You could walk down the main street of your town and you could write in the style of Whitman, if you like, but your own version of it. You could write down to the shoemakers, to the tanners, to the cobblers. You could, express the attention. You'll never capture it all, but you can express it. The smells. You could go down the street just doing the smells. But often, well, in my opinion, one of the difficulties poetry labors with is that it's a bit too fancy. If any of you here would like to have any of your own work published, then I will absolutely be honored to publish it for you on my blog. If any of you would like to publish your work, be it photographs, be it songs, be it drawings, be it cartoons, be it video, I invite you to help me. Thank you, Mark. Thanks a million. Thank you very much. Yeah. Kate, I send people to sleep. No, I really would. I'm slowly developing. Oh, I'd say a lot of people may not be able to. A 7th grade haiku would be just gorgeous. But a 7th grade haiku from you, now that would be. And you know, yeah, I didn't set out to try to, I didn't start doing the Walt Whitman show or start doing Periscope. Yes, thank you, Andrew. This is, you will be able to find, oh, thank you, Joy. This is where you can find, this is the URL for my blog. It's called From Bath to Cork with Baby Grace. And that's my Twitter name. I think you can see it. You see, writing every day, you can't not write. Great. Terrific. To be practicing writing every day is a great thing. I'd like to welcome Dale. You're very welcome, Zora. You're very, very welcome. I'd like to welcome Dale from Denver in Colorado. Once you get into the habit of writing every day, it isn't. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you very much. Yes. And I'm hoping that over a period of time, you know, some people might drop some comments and we might have some discussions there. There's snow coming to Denver. The poem that Jackson read today was awesome, lovely. I had difficulty connecting, so I didn't hear it all. But John Sudia, hello. It was 70 there today, 70, wow. So we have snow in one place. Good evening. When he read it, it sounded like a horse, yeah. What is lovely? Hello, Jordan Dances. What is lovely that Jackson is doing, that's poetry show, is that Jackson is making a real effort to, yes, I go nowhere without a notebook. I hardly talk to anybody without a notebook. My whole life is in my notebook. This is the current one. So my whole life is to be found in my notebook. I write in it all the time. Now I write in it what I have to buy in the shop. I write down how many I have. I have a huge number of these. I don't know, I must have 30 or 40 of them. Yeah, I invest in, this was a gift actually. This particular one was given to me by somebody who works in the University of Chicago. Well, not somebody, the partner of my niece. So this one is from Chicago. Comedian Ben Kronberg goes around with a little notebook. George Carlin, yeah. I tell you, it's very interesting to compare this because I recently came across Stephen King, that highly successful writer Stephen King, who's speaking about his method, and he said something like this, that notebooks are something like the last refuge for mediocre thoughts. I paraphrase him now, because he said, if you cover that fits cheap composition books, so that's handy. Stephen King said that if the story is going to be any good, it'll stick in his head. You're also Sono Mac Country Knitter. You've been following me for a couple of weeks. Thank you. There's a recent interview with Ben on SoundCloud. Now, Stephen King on writing is brilliant. I like Stephen King an awful lot. And you carry your camera in your purse. Yes. So you're practicing taking. Good night, David. Good night, David. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your company. Yes. Well, now wait a minute. That's a paraphrase that's my paraphrase of that's what I took from Stephen King. Stephen King says, you see, that you don't need to write down. A great story doesn't need to be, written down, notes kept for it. He just, he gets something that he latches onto as a start, and he doesn't know where the story is going to go. And he never does any planning. And he just lets the story take him. And sometimes it results in a short story, sometimes it results in a novel. But you write an idea. If it makes sense, you go with it. Right. You never know when something will appear, like a double rainbow. I use audio a lot. I do a lot of recording of stuff on my iPhone. You want them to have Mr. Omaniblog on their show soon. I'd be very happy to go on somebody's show. Yes. I'd be very happy. I like instinct, yeah. Well, you practice, you write more, you just keep on the job of writing. I think if you're a musician, you keep on playing an instrument, you go to the piano, you play the piano, you're a songwriter, you play tunes, you play melodies, you play rhythms, and you met Stephen King. Wow. Very interesting man in person. I would love to have him to dinner. Stephen King, I didn't realize what a great speaker he is. Wow. I have read none of his books except the book on writing. The only book of Stephen King I've read is the one that he wrote about writing. They want guests for long-form chat, 1 to 2 hours. Oh, that would appeal to me. Dale, that would appeal to me. Long-form conversation, that really would. He's funny. Oh, right. You mean Stephen King is funny? I think he's got a great sense of humour. Yeah. Iceland. Hello, Iceland. Mishani, hello. Oh, I will love you for doing that. I will really like that. I would love that. Yes, Lars is a Viking, so he heard that there was somebody from Iceland here, and he immediately asserted the relationship between Denmark and Iceland. Immediately. Didn't hang around. Hello, California. Whereabouts? Do you mind me asking? Whereabouts in California? Anywhere near San Diego, Santa Barbara. It was in New York years ago. He was very engaging in conversation, being a complete stranger. Lovely. And not a good story. In Los Angeles, right. On here, wow. On here there's Rob Music from Los Angeles. You're in Reykjavik. Fantastic. What did? Yes. Rob Music isn't here, but he's a lovely man. Anne is here. Ashleen is Anne, and she's here. An honorary Viking from the Ukraine. Guys, I have to go in 5 minutes, just to let you know. I'll have to wrap up in 5 minutes. But yes, I think I've got the idea. The Vikings are coming, I think. But the Stanley Hotel is still here. Yeah, wow. Yes. Yeah. So, I think I'd like to finish the scope with just reading to you the end of the poem A Song of the Rolling Earth by Walt Whitman. I just would like to, yeah, The Shining is pretty scary stuff. All right, Mount Hood in Oregon. Tommy, Ireland, hello. Christo, hello. How do you do? We're just at the very end of the scope. We're just at the very end. So I will, but I'd like to just read a little bit especially for the people who haven't heard any at all. Just to give a little bit of Walt Whitman. All the Danes wear Viking helmets, and greetings from Dublin. Hello, Dublin. Hello. Good to hear you. I'm going to read you a little bit of Walt Whitman just before finishing the show. Part 4. These to echo the tones of souls and the phrases of souls. If they did not echo the phrases of souls, what were they then? If they had not reference to you in a special, what were they then? I swear I will never henceforth have to do with the faith that tells the best. I will have to do only with that faith that leaves the best untold. Say on, sayers, sing on, singers, delve, mould, pile the words of the earth. Work on, age after age, nothing is to be lost. It may have to wait long, but it will certainly come in use. When the materials are all prepared and ready, the architects shall appear. I swear to you, the architects shall appear without fail. I swear to you, they will understand you and justify you. The greatest among them shall be he who best knows you and encloses all and is faithful to all. He and the rest shall not forget you. They shall perceive that you are not an iota less than they. You shall be fully glorified in them. That's it. You shall be fully glorified in them. And that is the end of Walt Whitman's poetry for tonight. So there he is. That's a picture of him. That's the person to whom we should be most thankful. We were lucky to have him. Pretty darned idealistic. Good night. Good night, Lars. Good night. Good night, Joy. Good night, us Tommy Ireland. Good night, Jet Booker. Good night, Anne. Good night to you all. Put him back. Good night, Dale. Good night, Monday, Tuesdays. Good night, Karen. Good night. Thank you all very, very much. Okay. So, have a good day. Have a good day. The Walt Whitman Show will return tomorrow at a later time than tonight. Okay. I think. Maybe not. Anyway, there we go. Bye-bye. All the very best. And just to say that I was very pleased to dedicate this entire show to Poetry Show. That's Jackson in Australia, and it's his birthday today, meaning tomorrow.